Jesus is the answer for the world today.
Hello family, Pastor Laulu from Christian Pentecostal Church here, and we'll continue our devotional in the week series, and we've been having a conversation about basically that if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways and seek my face. And the conversation we're having is really about humbling ourselves and turning from our wicked ways. So we began by taking it back to the basics and the basics of the law. We're establishing the Ten Commandments. Just because we live under grace does not mean that we are not to obey the law. Specifically in terms of the Ten Commandments, since Christ summed up the law in two things. While he was the fulfillment of the law, but he summed up the law in two commandments, that thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, etc., and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And the Ten Commandments actually falls under those two things as well. So we began with the first commandment, which established that I am the Lord thy God, and you shall have no other gods before me. It says specifically, I am the Lord thy God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. The second commandment is what we'll be focusing on today. And the second commandment is found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 and 5. And I read. And it ties in with the first commandment as well. It says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. That's Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 through 6. The key thing I want to actually highlight here, it says, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Why do we see that God is jealous here? Specifically saying, I am a jealous God, that you should not have these things, make these things, or bow down to these things, because I am a jealous God. And when we go back to the nitty gritty of it, it's simply this, that we are giving credit to something that is not due unto that thing. Like, have you ever done something, or you accomplished something, and then somebody comes along and steals all that credit away and says, yeah, I did it. Or you did something, and then the person you did it for example, attributes the credit to somebody else, or that thing to somebody else. God says that he does not share his glory with anybody. What he has accomplished, he has accomplished, and that's that. It's like imagining it saying that, let's look at, let's say Tesla, for example, and Elon Musk. Imagine if somebody else came and said, I'm the one that, established Tesla. I'm sure Elon Musk will get up and say X, Y, and Z. It is human nature. It is part of what God has attributed within us, that we feel slighted when somebody comes along and takes credit or takes glory for what we have accomplished. So God says, I am a jealous God. Don't make these things and bow down to them and give them credit for something that I did. For example, if we take it back to, let's go ancient Greece, for example, Zeus was supposedly the god of, thunder, lightning, the sky, etc., etc., etc. The Greeks were giving Zeus credit for thunder and lightning as though he's the one that originated them, when God, the Lord God, was the one that did so. And we could say, yeah, that was them back then. We don't make graven images anymore. We don't have idols. We don't give credit to things. But that's not true, is it? I mean, if we really think about it, let's even ever heard of something like a lucky charm, for example. When we have these things like these lucky charms, or like, oh, well, if I don't have this thing with me, or or just even attributing credit to sequences or circumstances of things. I mean, if we take it even to honestly, even in Christianity, there are certain things that we attribute things to, that we have to begin to actually really examine and question. It's like, for example, let's look at, before I go even further, there's a reason why God is spirit and is not seen as in physically. He's not tangible, so to speak. Like, you can't see, feel, and touch him. But we as human beings like to attribute godly attributes or God nature or godliness in itself to objects because we have the ability to hold them, feel them, and control them. And one prime example of that is the cross. Now I know that, people will say, oh no, the cross is this thing that we have to, because Christ died on the cross. Yes, Christ did die on the cross. But it's not the cross we venerate, it's Christ we venerate for what he did on the cross. The cross at the end of the day are two wooden beams attached together. It is the fact that Christ came and did what he did on that cross. That is what we venerate. That is where all the glory belongs. That is where all the credit belongs. So when we look at the cross, we should see and give credit to Christ alone from it. Not that, the cross is this thing that we now have to hold in high esteem. And that's just one example. I mean, without getting too far into the nitty-gritty of things, I just want to establish that, when God gave this commandment, it's so that we don't give credit, we don't give his glory to objects or to created things that he created. Because it's like saying it's like an author wrote a book, and in that book, and then we come along and give credit for doing things to characters in that book rather than the author himself. And that's not right. So let's sit back. Let's examine our hearts and examine ourselves, myself included, and see where it is, even in the little things, where we give credit or credence to things or to even people rather than to God. God bless you, and we'll continue next week on the third commandment.